So we're back from an extended break. It was a little longer than anticipated for another episode of Stream of Thought! Episode 46. We were going to wrap it up at some point or another. And we're so excited because in this episode, I recount quite an interesting travel experience that, interestingly, touches on some very sensitive topics that are very close to Victor's heart.
Rix went tailgating for the first time.
Dude, it was phenomenal. Coolest experience.
There was a slight mishap in making an attempt at doing a mobile podcast episode.
Tension in the air.
And then we realized, like, oh my goodness, we've been recording for an hour and we still haven't touched on everything. So this is just a part one of two parts.
Man, just way too much. Way too much going on. Way too much fun happening over the course of this hour. It's just, we lose track of time. And it's well worth it.
Totally worth it. So with that being said, episode number 46, Stream of Thought. We hope you enjoy.
So I feel like we should have a disclaimer before we start.
What? Buckle up, you're about to have a shit ton of fun.
Well, that too, obviously. But that I have a friend up in Minnesota whose name is also Victor.
Oh,
which
okay.
I feel like for a lot of people is very rare. It's very rare to have
rare.
multiple good friends whose names are Victor.
I once met like 4 or 5 Victors in like a year and a half, and it blew my mind. Alright, so I'm obviously Victor, so let's just say Minnesota Victor.
No, I'm not going to say Minnesota Victor because you're here, so I'm just going to say Victor when I speak and talk about my experience.
No, we're just going to say Minnesota Victor.
Alright, you can totally say Minnesota Victor.
Yeah.
But anyway, the whole point is, yes, you guys are not the same people. So as much fun as I may say that I have with Victor,
Sorry,
I'm not talking
what's
about
his
you.
last name
I'm
again?
not talking
What's
about
his last name again?
Cedeno.
Yeah, that's right, Cedeno. So just say Victor Minnesota Cedeno.
Alright, you want to know...
Say Victor S.
So
I don't care. Just say Victor.
You want to know
Minnesota.
who you are in my phone to differentiate?
Yeah, I know.
You? Yes,
Fez.
yes.
It's been like that for 10 years.
So we're gonna stick with your Fez for this episode, and Victor's Victor.
No,
yes.
I'm Victor, and Minnesota Victor is Minnesota Victor.
Whatever you say, Fez.
All right.
So yeah, I was gone for like almost a week.
I know.
In Minnesota.
So you left
the frozen tundra.
You left the day after Thanksgiving, and what's the first thing you did? Let me ask you this:
yes.
before we say anything,
yes.
Did you get your wireless headphones back?
I did.
Okay.
And can I just say,
yeah.
It was so much more of a disappointing experience.
Why?
I actually wish that I brought them because I remember my wireless headphones to be so much better than these, and
they weren't.
They absolutely were not, because I totally forgot that they had started coming apart, and so I used duct tape to hold them in place, and so I just have random duct tape hanging all over the place. And I'm just thinking to myself, wow, no, the wireless headphones my sister got me for my birthday definitely are going to be the ones that I use from here on out.
Okay.
So yeah, that was one of those disappointing surprises that I didn't. Where your past memory of something that you're missing for so long makes it seem so much better than it actually is, and when you see, you're just like,
it's like, oh, this is what it was.
Oh, man.
So you get to Minnesota on Friday, and you're with Brooks right away?
No, Victor picks me up from the airport.
Minnesota Victor picks you up from the airport. Okay.
Picks me up from the airport. We end up heading back, and that's when he, for the longest time. So you know my phone. We've talked about my phone. The one.
Yeah, I know all the mishaps.
Experienced the fullness of life, let's say.
Yeah.
But it served me well, and it's lasted as long as it has. And I'm totally content with my phone. But Victor also knows what my phone looks like, and he does not accept that as my current condition in life.
Okay.
So there's the opportunity. He just recently got his upgrade phone, and he's like, as the friend that he is, it's like a $600 phone that he had before, and he upgraded to the one before the X, the
iPhone 8.
I guess it's the
iPhone 8 came out, and then like a month later or something, the X came out. The X is just, it's okay. Well, we can have another conversation about this, but the newest model is the iPhone 8 the X is like this specialty thing that they just made because it's
The
$1,000
because
it's been 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Oh, because it's been 10 years. Okay.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I didn't know they skipped 9, but it's because it was 10 years.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
So,
Got it.
unless you have just $1,000 to drop,
Just throw
you
around.
most likely have the iPhone 8 when
Okay.
people are talking about the newest iPhone.
So he had upgraded to that, and he had this phone still as well.
Okay.
So he's like a very wonderful friend and gave it to me at a significant discount. And it was a discount so big that I could not refuse. And as much as resistant as I am to spend money on 10% of what it's is. So
nice.
yeah, it was. I mean, I could not refuse.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt like
No.
why not? I mean, I'm not gonna have a better opportunity.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then we went to the Verizon store, switched it over, and the moment that I started fiddling around with it, I'm like, this is totally. I mean, I had the 6S,
Totally worth it.
or the 6, I think, and this is the
7S.
6S Plus.
6S Plus. Okay.
And even though it's 2 gens behind, like
it's
a game changer. It's a game changer. I mean, it's the speed. I mean, I'm used to the 4S speed, which is my apps will crash. Everything will load. They don't have updates for the 4S anymore.
I didn't think there was anybody other than myself who had, because mine is the 5.
Brooks has the 5
regular.
Brooks still has the 5 regular.
That's awesome.
Yes,
that's awesome to hear. And I'm happy that you said that you bought the phone, even though it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up, because this phone still functions, but every now and then I'll try and unlock it with my passcode and it doesn't recognize my thumbprint, and then I'm like, what the heck? And I hit the shutter and it doesn't shut. So then I just sit there for about 2.5 to 3 minutes before all of a sudden the numbers light up real quick as if my thumb was there.
Yeah.
And then I'll try and swipe over to the right and it doesn't.
The delay swipe.
There's some lagging and everything, and it still works and everything. But the question is, do I want to be in a position where my phone doesn't work, where I need to utilize this tool? For example, if I'm lost somewhere, or if I need to make an important phone call.
I can't count the number of times where in the moment, within a period of maybe 10 seconds, there is something on your phone that your phone could provide, whether it's calculator or something like that, Spotlight, all these things, that within 10 seconds is an instantaneous, my phone is an accessory and a tool to be able to accomplish what I need to do. And if you have those older apps, that becomes an issue.
Yeah.
Because then you're waiting a period of time and suddenly becomes more of a hassle to, try and accomplish your task. That is... So it's... okay. So, go on. Finish your thought.
No, that was it.
Okay.
That was it.
I didn't want to...
So, Minnesota Victor gives you this phone for a huge discount. You get it switched over. You notice the difference immediately, even though it is the 6S from your original 6 that you had.
Yeah.
After having dealt with the 4S for quite some time.
Yeah.
Okay. Next. What next happened?
Oh, well, I'll just... One more
Okay.
point to switching from, a low-tech phone to, a high-tech phone, as weird as that sounds, iPhone to an iPhone. But, I mean, I can see how dangerous it could be for an individual to get sucked into the world of being obsessed with their phone.
Now you can see it.
Well, it recalls.
Are you experiencing it now?
No,
your phone is super phone.
I've experienced before, but never at this level.
Okay.
And just seeing the clarity of the picture, the processing capabilities that we have right now, it's just you really can waste your life on your phone, and so I could totally see how that would be a danger to getting the newest and greatest technology, because it's just so it's addicting. I mean, it really can be addicting. And I read an article, actually, ironically, on this new phone that was from The Verge that said they're selling a addiction recovery phone where all it is it's just a block of wood with little wooden balls that make it feel like you're swiping a smartphone. And so you hold this wooden block, and it has different patterns that you can swipe the wooden balls and just make it have that satisfactory feeling of
Like
your phone, just like a lot of people walk around with their phones in their hands,
yeah,
and just are constantly doing
touching
something on their phone, so their hand is always there, and they form this addiction of always needing to have their phone in their hand from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed. Their phone, whether they're reading, whether they're doing an app or something like that, the phone is always in their hand.
Yeah.
And so they came out with this product that's like, well, do you want to recover from your phone addiction? Try this thing.
What is it? Fucking $200 or something like that?
It's like $49.99 or something like that, which sounds totally outrageous.
6 easy payments of $49.99.
Exactly. I could cut my own block of wood and hold it in my hand all day if I wanted. Really,
that's pretty ridiculous.
But the things that people will pay for the luxury recovery items, it's pretty ridiculous. But I was just thinking, yeah, I could see that though. I see that more and more. And dude, I mean, if you just pay attention walking down the street, going to any sort of waiting room, going on the airplane, everywhere you go, walking down the street.
I catch myself, because you don't realize it when I cross, especially when when I cross the street. The only time I cross the street is on downtown Chicago.
I have that problem too.
Whenever I see people walking around like Roosevelt Road or Butterfield or like somewhere, I'm like, why are you walking? It's like, what?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. I catch myself like, oh shit, I'm crossing the street right now. I do not need to be looking at my phone for the next 7 seconds.
Yes, and so I generally am pretty darn aware when it comes to crossing streets or intersections. If I'm listening to a podcast, phone in my pocket. But if I'm walking down a street where there's no intersections, like side of the road kind of thing, then I may look at I have to catch myself because I was like.
The funniest is when you're in the car and you're sitting at the red light and someone is looking down at their phone and they're walking across the street and then they get like 3/4 of the way across the street and then they're looking at the phone and they stop and then they turn around to walk back and then they walk for about 3, 4, 5 paces before they stop and then turn around again and realize they were going in the right direction.
Yes. I have to say,
and it's funny. It's like I can identify with that when you're on the sidewalk. Total, like you're looking at the directions in real time. But like it just looks so goofy when you happen to be crossing the street doing it.
Yes, I did see that. I was laughing that whole time because I actually saw that exact same thing happen while I was in Minnesota. But it's so crazy. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, that was our first pit stop because Victor said, no, absolutely not. Okay. We are not letting you walk around with this phone anymore.
Yeah.
And so we made that. And then I ended up going to he picked me up and his wife was there as well. And so we dropped off his wife, went to the Verizon store, came back. His wife and he have 2 dogs, which are these little, I guess, I don't know if they're terriers or something like that.
All right, let me jump in real quick.
Yeah, go.
Because I thought about this today.
Please.
I was walking my dog today, and there's this house on our street that has these little dogs. Like same thing. I think they're like little. They're like these little dogs with like the white kind of curly hair.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
It's not, it's not
terrier or something.
It's not the dog that's like on the can.
Shih
That's on the can of food, like I can't remember what that. I don't know. I'm spending too much time on this fucking breed. No, but they're these little dogs, right?
Yes.
And
really curly hair, like kind of fluffy. Yeah.
And there's only like 20 or 30 different breeds of that.
Exactly. Yeah. They come in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah. So every time we walk in front of this house, they're in the backyard, but there's a gate, and they're just yapping away. They're just fucking yapping away and yapping away and yapping away, and there's 2 of them.
Yes. There's always 2 of them. There's always 2 of them.
We're walking my dog, or I'm walking my dog, and my dog just kind of looks at him, just like, whatever, like, he just ignores them, like, doesn't get worked up. But every fucking time, and I just think to myself, who do you think you are? Dogs. You think you can intimidate me and my dog? I challenge you to come up to my dog, because my dog doesn't get worked up with other dogs, like if they're in front of him, like these dogs, but he hates it when dogs get in front of his face or try and smell him. He fucking hates that. So he'll growl and he'll be like, get the fuck away from me. Well, anyway, what I'm trying to get at is I would love to see you little fuckers try and come up to us when you're not behind your gate and see what happens.
See, you're on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
Go on, yeah.
My dog wouldn't bite him, but he would let him know he's pretty fucking pissed, and they would probably like, and then like maybe turn around. But then I'm walking my dog again, like this is a few days ago, and I look behind me and I see a woman walking these 2 dogs, and I'm like, wait a minute, those are the 2 fucking dogs that live in this house that I just walked past.
That is awesome.
And they start yapping away again.
Oh my god.
Like, what the fuck? Then it was today, I think, that I was walking the dog, and I hear barking, but it's muffled. I'm like, what the fuck? And of course, I'm in front of the house again, and I look up, and these little fuckers are barking through the window on the 2nd floor. It's like, what the hell?
Oh, man.
Shut up!
That is
Shut
so
up!
funny. Holy cow. Yeah, okay, so I guess these aren't those type of dogs.
Yeah.
They're super friendly dogs. They wouldn't bite or anything like that.
Yeah.
But they are, when they see people walking and they're indoors and see people through the window,
I hate that
they'll
shit.
run up
That
and start
drives me
barking.
nuts.
Yeah. So they'll do that. However, we ended up going to Victor, his wife, and myself ended up going to a dog park. I've never been to a dog park.
Yeah, they're fun.
You can let the dog off the leash, just let it run around. Like,
It's fun. It's fun just watching a bunch of dogs be dogs together.
Yeah, it really. And I've never been to. Not that I can remember anyway. I don't think we've ever had a dog that's been allowed to be in a dog park, really, because But anyway, this was the first time with 2 dogs that were super friendly with other dogs and all that. Let off the leash. Just they start running around. It was the coolest thing ever. Seeing all the dogs just sniffing each other. Just the routine of the butt sniff.
Yeah,
it was. I mean, it was crazy. Every single way, it was like the greeting.
Sniff.
Yeah, it was like their handshake. It was very, very. It was a very cool experience. And there was a warm spell this past week. It's been
going on.
Oh,
yeah, for this
it's
rest
glorious.
Of this weekend for sure.
And so Minnesota was just. It was wonderful. I mean, just a tad bit chilly because of the wind, but it was still 60 degrees and just a very, very perfect day to be outside. Everyone else was outside. There was so many dogs. Probably, I'd have to say, at any given time, there were probably a good dozen dogs within view of every direction, which is a lot of dogs to have around. Just constantly going by other dogs. So that was a lot of fun. We ended up getting back, and then we watched, we just ended up, Brooks and his wife, Angie, who, just some of my favorite people in the world. These are some of my favorite people in the world. And I'm coming over. We all ended up going downstairs, watching TV. I think there was a game on. They're obsessed with Minnesota sports teams, so they'll watch whatever, the Timberwolves, the
Vikings,
the Wild, the Vikings, So, since this was a Friday, I don't know what Minnesota game was on. But
how far do Brooks and Victor live from each other?
Pretty far, actually.
Really?
They live kind of on sort of the periphery of the suburb, or in the suburbs, on the periphery of the city. And so, it's a good 25, 30-minute drive.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
That's not bad, but it's like...
things in relation to, like, Chicagoland area. Where
but in regards to, like, hanging out with each other, you and I live... maybe a 5-minute drive away.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is a significant difference if you're looking at 30 to 40 minutes, depending on traffic, obviously.
Do they hang out very often?
No, because, I mean, they're both super busy with their own lives.
People are busy being adults now.
I know, it's crazy. And so that's why I kind of love visiting them, is because they also kind of get to take a break from their schedule as well, and we're all able to hang out for a period, and so that was a lot of fun. But, so we get back, we're all hanging out, and, that's basically the day one, Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Saturday, you told me that you did, was it on Saturday you did tailgating, or Sunday?
It was Saturday. Well, yeah, it was game day, college game day.
Okay.
It was rivalry week.
That was the first time you've done tailgating, you said.
Yes.
What time did you start? What time did you crack open your first beer?
The first beer
7:30 in the morning.
No, this was a late tailgate.
Okay.
And there's a whole effing story leading up to actually how we ended up getting tailgating, because tailgate obviously starts super early in the morning, right? People are there at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, setting up, 8 o'clock.
That's when they're setting up. Sometimes, like, when you're all in with the camper, like, you're there the night before.
Oh, yeah,
you know
totally.
What I'm saying?
But we were off kind of to the side. This is
This is
University of Minnesota.
Okay,
So it's, I I don't know if there were people who had set up camping, but people had staked out their spot, so maybe.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible. And we end up getting up at, 10 o'clock, or no, I'm sorry, like 9 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm staying with Victor, and we end up trying to find brats to bring to the cookout, because I don't know what to expect. Like I said, I've never been to a tailgate before, so I have no idea what it's going to look like. I'm just assuming it's going to be a casual kind of thing. If we want food, we'll have brought food.
Right.
If we want alcohol, we'll bring our own alcohol kind of thing. And Victor's like, just don't worry about it. I'm like, well, I mean, if it's just a small gathering of a couple of people, we want to make sure that we have lunch and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we end up going to 3 different places to find brats, and eventually end up in Minnesota, but a co-op to get food. I've never been to a co-op either.
Yeah, I don't really get what those are.
It's, yeah.
I know what they are.
I wish I could
We were
describe.
both Greek, we should, but it's like one of those like co-op, whatever.
Basically, the moral of a co-op is that it's community run, community supported, and you pay a little bit more in order to be have them do self-sustaining food, all natural stuff kind of thing. So
I'm already bored. Okay,
yeah.
so all right, so you go to
it's
the
the
co-op
kind of
and get
thing
food.
that people who are politically conscious focus about.
Yeah. Okay.
Moral of the story. So anyway, we get brats from there. Wow, that took like 5 minutes to get through. Getting brats to get to the place, and so we go back, get his wife. They have a couple of beers or whatever. They bring a couple of beers with, just so we have something there. And we get to the place, and oh my goodness, we are passing by the stadium, and about every block there was a section of just parking lot that was sectioned off for tailgaters.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't like this sort of open tailgate where you have a lot of like space around, because there's a lot of commercial buildings, and as a result, like, these commercial parking lots are utilized as tailgating. They have trucks set up, tents set up. They have it's like a college campus on pavement,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just like, wow, I never experienced anything like this at Drake. I don't even think we did tailgating at Drake, and end up getting to our lot, and the crew that we were introduced to was probably a good. Oh man, there were a good 20 to 30 of us who were just people who knew each other, who sort of just came together. And the guy came up and introduced himself. He's like, pointing to the table, anything you want to eat or drink, like, just take whatever you want. Like, if he noticed I was actually wearing this shirt. He's like, I see that red. Like, just be careful. Somebody might come up to you and punch you in the face. Because they were playing Wisconsin, and Wisconsin's colors red. University of Minnesota and Wisconsin are the rivalry game for the week. And so anybody wearing any red at all, any like crimson red at all, he's like, I see that red on your shirt. Just be careful. Someone might come up and punch you in the face.
It might be me. Small amount of red, but that's really funny.
But it was that legit for sure. And so I was wearing a sweatshirt, something like this, and I zipped it up. I'm just like, all right, cool, like whatever. I have no idea if they're serious, but I'm not gonna push my luck.
Yeah. Anytime you go tailgating, you go walk up to. I mean, it's usually like you're at this person's tailgate because somebody knows somebody who knows somebody.
And so I'm
gonna
be super respectful and just be like, if you tell me to do something, no matter how weird.
Drink however much you want. The beer's over here, the vodka's over here, the Bloody Mary mix is over here.
I
we
was
got
shocked.
hot dogs, hamburgers, broth,
yeah.
chips over there. There's a TV set up. Like, make yourself. Oh, here, grab a chair. Let me get a chair for you. It's like,
you literally just described my experience.
Right?
It was exactly like that.
That's how it is everywhere.
And I was just blown away, and it was so much fun. We ended up playing beer pong. I haven't played beer pong since college.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it's evolved just a little bit. So now, I think we started playing like this near the end of college, where you have the cups, right? Obviously, with the beer in them, or so it used to be. Nowadays, I believe they just have water.
Yes.
And then you just have your own individual beer, so that you're just not passing disease amongst all the people that are playing.
Oh yeah, no, it's totally changed. Exactly, health standards exist now, which is a great thing to see, especially amongst like young adults. These are all like mid to late 20s who are just responsible,
virus conscious individuals. You know,
somewhat semi-intelligent
that's
individuals.
a new layer of drinking responsibly.
I know. But then we also played Flip Cup.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
That took up probably 90% of the time.
Really? Yeah.
And so it was just, I think it was teams of 6 on each side, so it was a solid game. And there were people rotating in and out of our crew, and so there were maybe 7 of us who were always like just getting food or something like that. But it was just constant motion.
Mm-hmm.
They had a game of beanbag toss.
Yeah.
That
bags,
I didn't play. Yeah, but
from Indiana, cornhole.
Cornhole.
Yeah.
Exactly, cornhole. Des Moines too.
Yeah.
Yes, cornhole.
Such a oh my gosh.
Such a weird ass game.
Bags.
Yeah. And then
cornhole. All right.
Probably my most enjoyable when we're all like nice and toasty by the end.
Yeah.
Where they have everyone starts heading towards the stadium. So every time anyone in Wisconsin gear ends up coming by, it's just like boo, like everyone stops and like boo.
Yeah.
It was a really, as somebody who went to a small college, I was like, I could see now if you had the right social circles and were a part of this type of like coolness, that you could enjoy, being at a big school simply for that type of experience.
For sure.
Because it really was just
Did you ever see? Did they do? What time was the game at?
It was a 11 o'clock game.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So, did you see people dressed up in costumes? Like, did they do Breakfast Club there? Like, the bars open at 7 a.m.?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there were people in costumes that we saw on the streets.
I remember when I went to my mom
overalls.
When my mom one time like came to Purdue or like dropped me off on a Sunday for one weekend or something like that, like. The first time we saw a bunch of people wearing costumes, and she's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, I didn't know. I think the first time, and then I find out like, oh, everyone that's in a costume is blackout drunk right now. That's wandering around. Campus.
So and you had some of those people who were wearing like multicolored overalls and crazy stuff like that. I don't think I saw any costumes that were too out of the blue, but you could tell that the people who. The more extravagant your garb was, the drunker you were at that point in time. That's sort of the moral of the story. And we end up around kickoff time, maybe 15 minutes to kickoff time. We're just like, everyone's heading towards the stadium, and we're thinking, okay, it's about time to peace out. And thank goodness we did, because within the first 2 minutes of the game, Wisconsin has scored their first touchdown. Well, Wisconsin is now number 3 in the nation. So, and they were playing University of Minnesota, which I think had a losing record this year.
Minnesota? I think they have a losing record every year.
Yeah, they had a year that they were ranked, like 3 years ago.
Really?
They can be sporadically good.
They're kind of like
they're a team to cheer for.
They're a team to cheer for, but when an opposing team plays them, it's usually like, all right, we're gonna get a win today.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Just like just like how
we can do it.
Just like how the Bears are, how Purdue is, how the Cubs used to be.
Yes.
You know, like, all right, we're going in with a win. We're going to get a win today. Let's get this over with.
You just
focus on the real game.
Exactly.
Week,
it's like, if we lose, so be it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not going to be too upset, but we're gonna hope for the best, right?
Yeah.
Going in. Yeah. So you basically summed it up right there, man. It was just an overall really cool experience, and he's like, and afterwards I'm like, man, I really appreciate your hospitality. This was a really enjoyable experience. Thank you so much. And he's like, all right, well, show me your thanks by coming back sometime next season.
Nice.
Like, cool, man. Like,
I thought you were gonna say like, show me your thanks by helping to donate to the cause.
Yeah, clean up the house.
Give me $15.
Clean up the house, or you're gonna have to leave. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
I don't like you, so you're gonna have to clean up or leave. That's a story for another time. Okay, so that's Saturday. Anything particular Saturday night? You just take it easy?
It was Saturday, man. Alabama-Auburn.
Oh, hell yeah.
The game of the century.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
The game of the century every year.
It was, not every year.
No?
Alabama, number 1, Auburn, number 6, playing each other. Second to last game of the season.
They don't play each other every year?
Every year they play each other.
Right, yeah.
At the last game of the season.
Okay.
Before the championship week. And so this is their rivalry game. And I think this is the first time that they were both been ranked so high or something like that. I don't know. It's always, like, super intense.
Mm-hmm.
And so this year, Alabama, sort of the powerhouse, expected to win, all that. Man, Rix and Victor, were totally on my side.
Oh, I'm sure.
In rooting for Auburn,
The
whole way. I mean, and they were like, we need to get back to watch this game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these are friends. these are friends. They understand.
Yeah.
They truly understand. Because there has just been that lingering joy, like that expectation of joy that I have.
Yes.
The week that they lose, and every week they've won, and it's just been such a disappointment.
So funny. Like,
I'll watch the first quarter of every game and then turn it off, and it's just like, well, fuck. Like maybe another week. And so it just so happened that the week that I visit them, they understand the importance of a loss.
It's gonna. I just thought how funny it was. How funny it is. Like that. This will be. That Auburn versus Alabama, for reasons we can address at another time, if it hasn't been, if people haven't already figured it out, like this will be a special moment every year for the rest of our lives.
It is so true. Yeah, we'll have to put a bookmark in that. Yeah, that's a fun story. But you know, we started watching the game and things started off well.
Uh-huh.
They got a little close during the middle. Like, whoa, damn, like, oh. But then they started pulling away towards the end, and there was this creeping realization: Alabama was going to lose. Like,
no way!
Holy crap! Alabama is going to lose. They could be out of the college football playoffs for the first time. That would be awesome. I mean, granted, the playoffs have only been around for 3 years, so it's like they've been in two of the 2 years, and it's just like if they miss it, oh. How a sweet victory. That alone is victory. So comes to the end, and this is the same night too that we all decided to have a Friendsgiving. So we had Victor and Allie, Angie and Brooks, myself. We had a couple other friends from college come.
Mm-hmm.
One of them had a girlfriend he was dating. She came as well, and then Brooks's younger brother came. So there were 10 of us.
Okay.
I think.
It's a good number.
It was, a really solid number. And we had our first Friendsgiving. I've never had a Friendsgiving.
I'm having one next Friday with my classmates in the acting lab.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that'll be fun.
That'll be a lot of fun.
I went to Jeff's Friendsgiving like 2 years ago. Or maybe it was last year. I don't know.
Okay, so you have been to a Friendsgiving
before. Yeah, so I've done Friendsgivings before. Okay. Yeah, they're pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's just like another Thanksgiving with like other people, with more people.
Totally. And the best part is that us being like close to that millennial age that we are, we opted to not do turkey and ham. Really? And we did a it was a flatbread with beans and chicken, like spiced chicken of sorts with squash and I think salsa on top.
Interesting.
And that the fusion of all of those things, I don't like squash normally, but you fuse it with the refried beans and everything, and it's just, I mean, it was like a flatbread taco almost.
Interesting.
And probably one of the most surprisingly delicious dishes that I've had in a long time, because I really didn't think those flavors would fuse together, and oh my goodness, was that tasty. Man, it was so good. So we all ended up doing that. Everyone seemed to love that. And Brooks and Angie, I think it was through Blue Apron actually that they had gotten the ingredients and recipes. You've heard of Blue Apron, right?
No, that's why I'm looking at you.
Are you serious?
You
are looking at me blankly, which is, I'm very surprised to see that blank stare, because everyone has advertised about Blue Apron. The fact that you haven't heard about that and you've listened to podcasts, even Chris Hardwick has talked about Blue Apron.
Are they on Instagram?
I don't. Yes, I'm sure that they are. Are they a meme or a model? Probably not. But
what is it?
That's shocking. It's a delivery service for food.
Got it.
We need
I
a sponsorship.
thought that's what I thought.
Hey, Blue Apron, if you're
catering
listening, sponsor our show so you can inform Victor.
So you do that on Saturday. Sunday rolls around. Oh, wait a minute. No, Sunday rolls around.
Sunday hasn't even rolled around. We just finished dinner. We ended up playing Cards Against Humanity, which I was thinking to myself, because I surround myself with conservatives a lot around in this area. I'm not used. So you're playing. I'm not used to having liberal-minded people hanging around me and who are socially and politically just aware of what's going on. And so Cards Against Humanity, I don't know if you heard about this, but recently came out with a Cards Against Humanity like Stop Trump edition. And that's the first time they've ever gotten overtly political like that, because they're normally... You've played that game, right?
I played it like
Cards.
once or twice.
Do you know the context of concept?
A little bit.
Where you have a single card that's a topic, and everyone has subject cards.
Yes.
And you try and it's like apples to apples.
Yes.
And except super dirty, or could get super dirty. A lot of very inappropriate things. And so they recently came out with a Cards Against Humanity anti-Trump edition. And so I was thinking to myself, man, if any of the people who I hung around with in the Chicagoland area who of the conservative ideology were there, they would probably be like, I don't want to play Cards Against Humanity. I've heard horrible things about them. But it was really nice because Cards Against Humanity, the way that we play, we use a lot of social and political, like, inside joke type things. So it just makes it so much more humorous when everyone knows, like, a cultural or political thing that's going on. And so when a card's played, everyone will burst out laughing because they know the inside joke of, like, touchy-feely Donald Trump. Like, everyone knows why that's funny kind of thing. Yeah. You know, that's, like, a crude example, but that's sort of thing it was. And, so that went on. We ended up playing... Oh, and then... What's the game with the beeper, passer?
Oh, thing? I don't know. I can't
Catchphrase.
Catchphrase,
yeah. That was a lot of fun.
It's funny because when you're in college and, like, so it's funny because I'm so much more into being at someone's house, having dinner, having a few drinks, and playing these types of games. But if I was, like, 20, I'd be like, this shit's dumb. Like, let's go to the bars and get fucked up. You know? Like, stay inside and like, what?
Dude, it totally changes.
And now I'm like,
when you get to that age,
and I'm totally cool also, like, calling it a night at 11 p.m., getting home, going to bed by midnight. Oh, long day today. You know?
Yeah. I know, seriously. That, and it was just absolutely... Yeah, wonderful. And the other thing that I wanted to point out about a catchphrase is because it's teams of two, or two teams, and we decided, just for fun, we do guys versus girls. How anti-PC we were.
Oh, wow.
I think the guys won. In my mind, in my mind, the guys won.
And then that was it, and then you guys just, like, watched the game or something?
Yeah, we ended up calling it a night. I ended up staying with Brooks. We ended up playing FIFA.
Yeah.
PlayStation 3. I haven't played video games in probably about a year.
Okay.
And I haven't played, since I visited them last year.
Uh-huh.
It was the last time I ever played touched a video game.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh my god, I have to start remembering all these things. But it's crazy how even after a couple of years of not consistently playing video games, my hands just,
remember it,
like, muscle memory. Yeah. I played so much at a younger age that it's just like riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
You just get on and go again. And I was, by the end of the trip, I was beating Brooks in FIFA, and I'm just like, dude, you play video games all the time. Yeah. How is it you're losing to me? You need more real competition. It's just like...
I remember, like, 10 years ago, we were playing Mario Kart 64, and, like, you whooped all our asses. Like, you knew the ins and outs of, like, every single race course. And, like, had all the secret passages, like, down... Like, without even thinking about it.
We played Smash Brothers. Angie, Brooks, and I played Smash Brothers together. And I was just kicking all their asses at Kirby. I am the best Kirby ever. Because all I do is just float above and do the rock thing down.
I haven't played that game in a long time. That'd be fun.
We gotta...
Get their ass to, like... I love when the percentage is climbing up. It's like... 320, 350, 370, 390, 410, 407, boom, and they're fucking out of here.
The rapid A punch, and then followed with the B forward.
Yeah.
Power move. Gosh. And just knock them out there. You get the baseball bat, the hammer.
I love using the Pikachu, and, like, if they're above me, but there's, like, a block in between or something, and I just do the down B, and that Thunderbolt comes out and hits them.
It was, I think with Angie was Brooks was Pikachu.
I was, twice. My top, the guys that I used all the time when I was playing that game, it was first Kirby, like, Pikachu and Link were my main guys, were the people that I liked using a lot.
Yeah. And then, I think... We did Mario Kart 2.
So
anyway, that was, oh my goodness, it was a very busy Saturday, to say the least.
I want to know what happened Sunday, because I get a text Monday morning like, dude, I've been out till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, that was, Sunday was, dude, I mean, that was one of those days where, what did I do Sunday? I'm trying to remember.
You went out. because I was like, let's record. And like, I can't. Well, let's record tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I just got home.
Oh, yes.
What is it? 3:14 a.m. Text message from Rix. I don't know if I can wake up at 8. I just got home, but I'll try.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was the day where...
Got a little turn, went out with the boys, had a few drinks.
It was a fun night. Yeah, no, I mean, it was nothing too, like, out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
We just ended up going to a bar. But it was... I'm saying if I have some videos of it. Yeah, I mean, that was just a long night. The problem with that day, though, is that because I'm doing the Drywall Doctor channel and doing uploads for Ray, I had to get the Sunday upload up. And so we start out, because I spend the night at Burst and Andy's, we end up going over back to Victor and Allie's, and I have to basically spend a good, 3 hours working on Ray's video. Most of it's done. But because I had technical difficulties with my laptop, which if you see my laptop, it's just the screen's broken. And so I have to hook it up to a TV. Yeah. And so I brought the HDMI cord, but unfortunately something happened where it just screwed up the whole thing. And so I'm working with like a maximized screen, and I can't figure out how to fit it within the box, and so everything's like super large. And I cannot figure out how to minimize all the icons and stuff like that. So everything's just crammed on the screen, supersized. And I'm trying to work within that because it's just like if I could spend hours trying to figure it out. In fact, today I spent like 2 hours trying to figure it out, and I finally got it back to where it should have been, but it took effing forever. And so
I like how real quick I want to say how you will be like this took for effing forever. Or, I thought, what the H? This guy was being an asshole. And other times you say, fucking hell, asshole, shit. And I'm just like, don't give a fuck. I just like throw them out there. But it's funny because I've noticed you where sometimes you'll try and be somewhat professional, and then like a second later something will like trigger you and you'll just like go full blown like unfiltered on something. But continue.
Well, you know why that is though?
Because there listens.
No. Would I really be alternating between swearing and
I don't know.
I don't know. No, it has to do with the passion that I feel for what I'm talking about. There are topics that I feel are worthy of a swear word. Most topics are not, and so I'll try to censor myself when I can. But there are times where it's just like I need to say what is on my mind.
Got it.
It deserves the curse word. I want the curse word when it's fully said to mean something. I don't want it just to be all like fuck, shit, cunt.
All
There's got to be a reason for
Understood.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought we'd clarify that.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh man, what? Yeah.
So then Monday, let me bring you up to speed on what happened on Monday, and by let me bring you up to, I mean the people who are listening. So we try and record an episode on Sunday.
Yeah, this is where.
And because we were saying like let's record an episode on Sunday, and it didn't happen, and it was fine because you were busy and I was like really tired, but I would have done it, but I was like, okay, we'll do it tomorrow morning. That's no problem. Rix texts me like, oh, I've been out really, really late. I don't know if I can do 8 or 9. I'm like, that's fine. I worked out. I was like, let's just do later, 1 o'clock or something like that. He's like, okay. You said like Brooks was out, so I might be able to. I have some time, and I needed to walk my dog and eat lunch, and then I was ready to go. I come to the studio. I call Rix. Hey, what's up? Hey, guess what I did tailgating? All right, hey, let me call you back in about a minute. I was just testing the audio to make sure this is good because I just have the phone speaker in front of me, in front of the microphone. I call him back like a minute or two later. Hey, what's up? Hey, Brooks and I are getting food. Okay. Yeah, no, I can't do the podcast. What do you mean you can't do the podcast? No, we're getting food. My schedule's changed. I can't do the podcast. I told you this, and all of a sudden, I'm just like, my excitement has just been deflated. Just like, all right. So what are we supposed to do then? And it was funny because you started attacking me like I told you like my schedule's gonna be up in the air like blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, okay, but like let me tell you my side of the story. Like I understand you said your schedule's gonna be up in the air, but I thought we we were just saying how we always do an episode on Sunday, always do an episode Thursday. But anyway, what I was trying to get at was I wasn't going to let you get away thinking that this was either A, not your fault, or B, partially my fault. So once like a switch, you were just like, okay, no, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm going to take responsibility for this. I should have communicated better. And then when you said that, I thought to myself, like, all right, I got you. Don't worry about it. It was just lack of communication on both parties. No one's really at fault. It was just miscommunication. So
well, I was at fault. I think that was the point.
Okay.
I could have communicated better, and if I had communicated better, we could have avoided or preempted this.
What I'm saying was,
yes.
is that before where you were like trying to say like that I should have known better. That's kind of what you were getting at, and I was like, no, he's not getting away with this. So then once you said, I apologize, this is my fault, I take responsibility. Then I was like, okay, now that you have heeded to this argument, I'm happy with that. But I wanted to say like, no, it's not your fault per se. It's just miscommunication on both. It's just something that happened. It's not. Nobody.
It was not intentional. It was not a continual character thing.
So nobody is truly quote unquote responsible for this thing. It just happened.
It's an unfortunate series
once you conceded, I was like, okay, now that you've let your ego out of the way, okay, I will say too, don't worry, it's not a big deal. Whereas before, because you were like gung-ho about this, I'm like, no. I am going to strike back if he thinks he's going to get away with this.
Yeah. And so, let me tell you, man, I'll go through it from my perspective.
What did you eat?
We, Taco Loco.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
So, what did I eat? Taco Loco. Yeah. It was decent. It was fine. I'm not a huge fan, but that's beside the point. So, first of all, let me just, okay. So, just briefly what was going on my end was, I was definitely, I'd gotten to bed at about 3:30 in the morning, and then was up at probably 9 o'clock, just not feeling too great. You know, not feeling too hot from the night before.
If I remember correctly, you said, I'm here to see my friends. My friends are my priority. Like, what'd you expect? And I was like, what I expected was to do a podcast.
Are you gonna keep interrupting? I allowed you probably about 15 minutes to just vomit.
I'm done.
And the least that I could.
Okay.
Anyway, so anyway, not feeling too hot, and I'm feeling like and I'm just feeling frustrated. I think frustrated in general, and this was just like. All right, so timing-wise, I get up at maybe, 10 o'clock or something like that, and I think you're working out at that point in time.
Yeah.
And so, Brooks ends up having to go out with Angie, and they have to run some errands.
Uh-huh.
And it's like 10:15 or something like that, and they head out. And so I text you, I'm like, I can do it now, kind of thing. And we end up, you don't get back until, 11:30 or something like that?
I got back at like 11 or so, something like that.
Yeah. So it's getting close to the time where
I would have probably gone, if I hadn't gone to the gym, just gone to the studio, but it was because like I just had this killer workout, I had to eat, and I had to let my dog out.
Totally. So, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, you know how I like to have a plan. I like to have order in my life, or at least sort of expect what to do.
Yes.
I didn't know what their schedule was like. They didn't tell me before they left, and I wasn't going to bother them with that because it was some pretty important errands that they had to run. And so I was just like, okay, I'm assuming it's going to be approximately 2 hours or so. So if we can meet within those 2 hour windows, we can do this. If I didn't think we could do it, I would have been like, okay, let's hand it off. But my ambition and my ego are getting in the way of being able to be like, okay, that's probably a little too much considering the amount of time I'd spent the day before trying to do Ray's video, and that had taken me significantly longer than I had anticipated in the first place.
Right.
I was being overambitious. I allowed my ego to get in the way, and because my ego was still in the way, and I was thinking, yes, I can cram this in here, this recording. I try and cram it in there. I was like, okay, well, maybe, hopefully, Brooks doesn't get back till 12:30 or 1. And then we talk on the phone, and literally, as soon as you hang up, I hear the door open.
Really?
It's like, Rix, let's go. And because Brooks had dropped Angie off at the house, and she had to go immediately because she had to go to work, so she was going to order food at Taco Loco first, and we were going to meet her there, but she had to leave early. And so he's like, come on, we got to go because she has to be to work in 25 minutes. And I'm just like, like, I mean, I think it was probably better that we didn't start 5 minutes in, because, again, she had to work, and I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah.
It would have just been even worse disaster than it already was. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, I'm just angry now. And as opposed to being like, okay, like, let me objectively, assess the situation and convey to Victor what I should have in the first place, which was, I'm sorry I overextended myself. I instead responded by lashing out at him in a way that, I'm absolutely
I didn't know that, like, there was, that Angie had to go to work. Like, in my mind, it was just like, hey, let's just get some lunch.
And again, in the chaos of the situation of me trying to communicate with you, like, on the phone, and, like, you calling, and Brooks being like, oh, let's walk out the door right now, and me having to get my shoes on, and, like, all of this stuff is happening
when you were
at
playing
once.
softball and people are, like, throwing balls at you and you're
Sensory
trying to
overload.
catch them, and, like, I was calling you.
Beep, beep, beep does not compute.
Oh, wait.
Totally different context, but I think that's basically what was happening. Beep, 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 bleep, beep, bleep, bleep.
Boop, bleep, boop, bleep.
Boop,
Does
bleep.
not compute.
Does not compute. Story for another time. But, we, actually was funny, actually. I do want to talk about that at some point in the near future. And, I'm like, too much stuff is happening right now. My system has crashed. I don't know how to process this information. And my response is, again, to lash out, or not to lash out, to lash out, to be like, I want to put the blame on somebody else so that I feel better. It was like, let me absolve myself of my self-inflicted wounds, kind of thing. But I think that's kind of human nature. I have to say, though, I give credit to my recovery program for instantaneously, as soon as my mind was like, as you're talking, my response, my training over these past couple of years has been, stop and listen for once. Like, even if it's for a half a second, just stop trying to convince somebody else of your point and just stop and listen.
Okay.
And the moment that I was like, gave myself a 5-second pause to be like, hearing what you were saying, I was like, oh my god, yeah, I was super gung-ho about this. I really was pushing to try and do this. It is my fault. And at that moment of realization, in just the culmination of everything, it's just, I was hit with this overwhelming sense of both sadness that I was trying to argue with something that ultimately I was at fault for, but also for catching it, because I feel like a lot of times, if this had been 6 months ago, I might not have caught that, and I might have harbored some sort of like anger at you and for another couple of hours, as opposed to being like, there's no more anger at you because it's my fault. I can't be angry at you, and so I'm over it. Like, I have nothing to hold. And I apologized, so you can accept it or not. Like, we're moving on. That's it. And it's so much easier just to acknowledge what's happened, especially if you can catch it in the moment, and be like, wait just a second. I stepped over the line. Like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, that was my fault.
As opposed to just
accept it or not,
like exhausting yourself
just like people
into
push
an
back
argument.
Because you never want to accept that you're wrong, but sometimes you're wrong. And that's what I've learned, is that sometimes you're wrong. And so if you just listen for 5 seconds, you can be like, oh, I was wrong. Okay. And I listened. So ultimately, in hindsight, I was very happy. I was just, because that's new for me. To be like in the moment of like arguing with somebody, just to be like, stop and listen. It's so unfamiliar to me.
Dude, it was so amazing, like a light switch. Like, oh, no.
It absolutely wasn't. Because I was listening to what you were saying. Like, I put myself in your position, and I realized, oh my goodness.
You caught me off guard when you started saying that. I was like, wait, what?
I could sense the pause. I was like, I surprised myself. I was surprised myself too. But it really was that light bulb going off. It was a really, really wonderful experience.
So that was Monday. How was the rest? So then you came back on Wednesday.
I came back on Wednesday. So
what was the rest of your trip like?
It was great. Brooks and I ended up having cigars. He normally doesn't have cigars, but it's like a special occasion, so he likes taking advantage of that. Had cigars. Had a bonfire at night. There's so much more to cover. I feel like, and we're nearing the cap time.
Do
Do we want to
part
make
two.
a part two?
Do
Because
part two.
we can add on to that little
Yeah.
text exchange
Yeah,
thing that we
yeah.
had over there. There's
We
so
do
much
a part
more to
two
cover.
for sure.
Cool. Well,
And, add on.
yeah, I guess this concludes part one of what was a chaotic and conversational experience that allowed for many different things to happen.
Yeah.
I'm very happy how this turned out.